It is without a doubt that Kyle Busch is having one of his worst seasons on record. In his second year with the historic Richard Childress Racing, he is currently sitting 19th in the playoff standings, over 112 points behind 16th place Ross Chastain. He has only accumulated 6 top 10 finishes this season, with 2 of those being inside the top 5, and most importantly, he has yet to acquire a win this season, putting his 19-year winning streak in serious jeopardy. One of the biggest issues that Busch has had this season is pushing the car way too hard, as seen at the final race before the Olympic break at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, when he made a desperate move to get around Denny Hamlin late into the race, which took him out of a guaranteed top 10 finish. However, a majority of the bad results are known to be at the fault of RCR, as they have downgraded severely in speed compared to last year. With the decrease in performance, fans of Kyle Busch have been pleading for the team to let him go to another team, such as Spire Motorsports, who have been spending extreme amounts of money lately in their program to eventually become a powerhouse team. But all signs so far lead to Kyle staying with RCR for the 2025 Cup Series season, and as a Kyle Busch fan, this completely destroyed any hope that I had for next season. But it never had to be like this. As information learned in an interview with The Athletic's Jordan Bianchi, Kyle explained the issues with Joe Gibbs Racing that forced him to leave, and the main reason was due to sponsorship issues, just like all reports had previously mentioned. But what Joe Gibbs and Toyota personally offered him left me shocked, as it would have completely changed how Kyle Busch's post-2022 career would have gone. Now it's time to look into what if Kyle Busch stayed with Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota. We'll begin back in 2022 when Busch is still unsure of his plans for 2023 and beyond. Joe Gibbs Racing is looking for a full-time sponsorship for Busch, similar to what Mars did with their products such as M&ms, Skittles, and Snickers. The team was in contact with Oracle, one of the largest software companies in the entire world. Some of you might know them from their F1 ventures with the team Red Bull, as aside from Red Bull themselves, they are the main sponsor of the team. The deal between Gibbs and Oracle ended up fizzling out, which Kyle Busch reportedly told the team that they had to look elsewhere for sponsorship, but the team couldn't find anything that fit their criteria. This is where Joe Gibbs and Toyota offered Busch a deal to still drive for the team, and this key piece of information is still not fully known by fans today. When relating back to not finding sponsorship, Busch told Bianchi that instead, they offered me a contract to race there and they weren't going to have sponsorship on the car. Now, even though this sounds like he would run a black unsponsored car every single week, that's not exactly what I'm getting at, as I see it more than likely being like Gibbs' Xfinity program, where most part-time drivers are sponsored by Toyota. Busch would still drive with Gibbs with Toyota as the main sponsorship, with secondary sponsors such as Interstate Batteries and DeWalt more than likely also doing a few races of the season. Now, if Busch could see into the future, I believe that he would have taken their offer in a heartbeat, but he didn't, as he would go on to say in that interview that he turned down their offer because he didn't feel like that was fair for the 15 years that I was there. I didn't want Joe putting his own money into the program. Now we all know what happened next. He signed with RCR for a multi-year contract, and his son even got a driver's contract for the future, and now he's struggling. But let's say Busch accepts the offer and is staying. In 2023, the lineup at Gibbs has remained the same, with it being Busch, Hamlin, Truex, and Bell. Now in terms of how Busch's season goes, he does better than he does at RCR except for the wins category. I believe Busch ends up winning 2 races that season, those being at Kansas and Gateway. I chose Gateway as it was one of his best tracks in the Cup Series, and Kansas because of how well he previously ran at JGR at the mile-and-a-half tracks, and because of how good Toyota had been at the track. On top of this, he is extremely consistent every week and gets great finishes. He ended up finishing 8th in the playoffs, behind his 3 teammates but still way better than he did at RCR. Now the stats are one thing, but what impact on other drivers did this have because of Busch staying? One of the big ones already is around Ty Gibbs, who as we all know, was promoted to the Cup Series in 2023 after winning the Xfinity Series Championship a year prior. In this alternate universe, Gibbs stays down in Xfinity for another year to contend for a second Xfinity title. Now the Gibbs situation for 2023 is basically completed, but the RCR situation is even more complex. If you remember back in 2022, Tyler Reddick announced that he would be leaving RCR at the end of the season to make the jump to 2311. With Busch remaining at Gibbs, they don't have a clear choice for a second driver. Now you might be thinking that the frontrunner for that car would be Austin Hill, as he had outperformed in his rookie season, winning 2 races and finishing 6th in the overall championship. But I believe RCR doesn't pick him, and they signed the newest free agent from Petty GMS, Ty Dillon. Ty Dillon reunites with his family's team to take over the number 8, and even though he doesn't have any sponsorship, the sponsors who previously supported the 8 while Reddick was driving stayed with the team. One last big piece of the puzzle to note is Kyle Busch's Truck Series team, which doesn't switch manufacturers to Chevy and maintains a huge backing from Toyota. KBM would have an incredible season, with their new star protege winning the championship in dominant fashion, that being Corey Heim. Since Busch never left, KBM is still the top Toyota team of the Truck Series, which means Tricon never forms or gets anywhere near the support that they have nowadays. Now there are still a lot of smaller gaps to fill in the lower series, but instead, let's fast forward to the present time. Busch is still at Gibbs, and he is absolutely thriving compared to where he is at RCR. Toyota's new car has proven to be a huge game changer, as he's already won at Bristol and Phoenix, both of which Toyota seemingly dominated. Ty Gibbs is called up to the Cup Series, replacing a retired Martin Truex Jr., and that's really where the simulation ends. Busch is running extremely well and is back in the hunt for championships. Also, he's still coaching the next generation of drivers for Toyota with KBM, which doesn't end up selling to Spire and is on top with their driver Corey Heim. If only this was what really happened, but unfortunately, reality cannot be this way. We're stuck here wondering if the Kyle Busch we used to know will ever come back.